Buddy. Today is Monday, February 9th, 2026. This is the Committee of Precinct Chairs. At an earlier time, as we go through the spring town meeting warrant articles, starting at 6 o'clock here at the Town Hall in the Great Hall Meeting Room in Plymouth. I'm going to first run through the roll as we have a number of people virtual and in the room this evening. So we'll start off with Precinct 1.
Christine Pratt, Precinct 1.
Precinct 2, myself, Matt Tavares. Precinct 3.
Dale Weber, Precinct 3, where it all began.
Precinct 4.
Precinct 4, Charlie Beautrain.
Precinct 5.
Misty Newsling, Precinct 5, Vice Chair.
Precinct 6.
Precinct 6, Robert Freeland.
Precinct 7.
Precinct 7, Beth Gregg, present.
Precinct 8.
Precinct 8, George McKay.
Precinct 9.
Precinct 9, Catherine Holmes.
Precinct 10.
Precinct 10, Alan Costello.
Precinct 11.
Precinct 11, Chris Merrill.
Precinct 12.
Precinct 12, Pat Adelman.
Precinct 13.
Precinct 13, Jennifer Harris, Vice Chair.
Precinct 14.
Jeanette Kelly, Precinct 14.
Precinct 15. Absent at the moment. Precinct 16.
Precinct 16, Pompey Delafield.
Precinct 17.
Precinct 17, Joe Hutchinson.
And Precinct 18. Check the waiting room. No. Absent. Okay. All right, we do have a quorum, so if you would all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we're going to roll into our agenda, unless anybody sees anything on the agenda they might have an issue with. The only slight change that I'm going to do is it didn't make it into the agenda, but just like we did the fall articles as we reviewed them, I'm going to allow, after the COPC discusses these articles, to allow for public comment. Anyone from the public that wants to speak to that article may do so at that time, and I'll just remind everyone they're limited to 3 minutes, but then we'll also still have our normal public comment towards the end of the meeting as well. It'll be reflected in the future agendas going forward, what we did last time. Kristen and I were a little rusty, I guess, so I apologize for that.
Motion to approve the adjusted agenda.
Seconded.
I have a motion to approve and seconded, so we will do a roll call vote. Since there's a motion, is there any discussion? Not seeing any, I'll call the roll. Precinct 1.
Approve.
Precinct 2, yes. Precinct 3.
Yes.
Precinct 4.
Yes.
Precinct 5.
Approve.
Precinct 6.
Yes.
Precinct 7.
Yes.
Precinct 8.
Abstain.
Precinct 9.
Yes.
Precinct 10.
Yes.
Precinct 11.
Yes.
Precinct 12.
Yes.
Precinct 13.
Yes.
Precinct 14.
Yes.
Precinct 15 is still absent. Precinct 16.
Yes.
Precinct 17.
Yes.
And Precinct 18 is also absent. So that does pass, so thank you for that. And again, my apologies, and I'll have it reflected in future agendas going forward. Next item up are the approval of the minutes for January 15th, 2026. And I'd just like you all to know that the draft minutes that you have before you for approval, there was one change, thank you, Alan, for pointing it out, that I know of. Underneath where it says meeting called to order at 7 p.m. roll call, for some reason, some of the names were cut out, but that will be reflected by Kristen in the minutes that get published. Are there any
A
other?
motion to approve with the corrections.
Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Weber, thank you. And so are there any discussion, any other items within that? All right, we'll go to the roll. Precinct 1,
Yes.
Precinct 2, yes. Precinct 3,
Yes.
Precinct 4,
Yes.
Precinct 5,
Abstain.
Precinct 6,
Yes.
Precinct 7,
Yes.
Precinct 8,
Abstain.
Precinct 9,
Yes.
Precinct 10,
Precinct 10, yes.
Precinct 11,
Yes.
Precinct 12,
Yes.
Precinct 13,
Yes.
Precinct 14,
Yes.
Precinct 15, absent. Precinct 16,
Yes.
Precinct 17,
Yes.
and Precinct 18, absent. All right. Thank you all very much. So, Kristen, if you make that change, we can get those over to the town clerk. That'd be great. Okay, so now we're going to get into our presentation of articles. I know everybody's chomping at the bit here, so we're going to start off with Article 22, codification of zoning bylaws, the town clerk. Kelly, if you'd like to come on up, appreciate you being here. And you guys or you all have received the information in your emailed packets. Kelly, before you start, can I ask a very quick question?
Absolutely.
Okay. In the warrant article language, are you going to address that?
Yeah,
The amount? Okay.
that I had a typo.
Yeah, yep.
That's a copy and paste error because I took so if I can begin right now.
Yeah, no, as long as that, I didn't want to gloss over it because I'm sure it'd be a question.
Yeah.
So go ahead. The
Yes.
floor is yours on Article 22.
So once again, I'm here to talk about codification. I didn't have enough of that in October when I went to all of the 18, or at least 15 out of the 18 precinct meetings. So I feel like we're over the hurdle with the general. As a matter of fact, the deadline for the AG to approve the codification for the general bylaws we did in October is this week, so I'm hoping to get that, and the website's going to be going live shortly after that. That being said, upon talking to the planning department, they are very interested in doing the same type of codification with the zoning bylaws. It will make it very easier to search the zoning bylaws, as I've explained with the general bylaws. And the quote that you have, the 10,800, is correct. I apologize, I took when we did the general codification, it was the 16,800, and I didn't realize I had the same dollar amount in there. So my apologies, we caught it on the warrant. I didn't realize the memo, and I never went back and looked until everyone came back and said, is this the right amount? So it is 10,800. It's the quote I got, and what it will do is codify. We'll go through it, find anything that might not be consistent with state law or with our charter or with our general. They'll point it out to us. We'll we'll determine, and it will come again in front of town meeting for final approval. I expect it would take at least 2 years before we would come back with a document for town meeting to review for the zoning. And I'm hoping for your approval so we can move forward with the project. And I'm available to ask any questions that you have. And, oh, by the way, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. I will open it up to the chairs first and vice chair here in the room, and then also as well as online. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Kelly right at the moment? Not seeing any. So this is what, just for scale, you said this would take 2 years for this general code proposal to be completed.
Yeah, for the
us.
zoning, yeah.
What would that even be something that you would even be able to undertake with your staff within,
Yes.
taking chunks at a time, or?
Yeah, so what we did when we did the general bylaws, which I think the zoning is gonna be that much more complicated, is we had a small task force, assistant town manager, town council, myself, the assistant town clerk. I think we would add a couple people from the planning department, maybe, I'm picturing the planning director and maybe the deputy planning director to be able to attend those meetings with us. We do it an hour at a time, just a quick hour in, out, cover what we can cover, and get assignments on who we should reach out to if we have any questions on what they're questioning. So it takes the vendor probably 6 to 9 months to even get me a document back once we sign the contract. And then then I think they give us 6 to 9 months to review it and make sure we have everything right, or to answer their questions, and then they get it back. And then we'll aim for a town meeting that would make sense once we get the document back.
Okay.
And just a personal note or a note, since I don't expect it back, by the time we approve it, and it would be, I don't think they can even get started on it, and like, they'll get started on it this year, but I'll be able to get through the fall elections and then be able to have this as a project for 2027, where hopefully we only have one election, the local election.
2027 would be the start of this project?
I would imagine that's when they would get the document back to us for
Oh,
us
okay.
to review.
Gotcha. All right. Sorry, I wasn't following.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments for the town clerk? Hearing and seeing none, thank you very much.
All right, and I'll send, Chairman Tavares, I will send an email, once it's approved and the website is up and running for the general bylaws that I talked about at all the precinct meetings, I will send that link to you and to Kristen to forward to all the precinct chairs, and once that's up and running, if you want me to come and do a little demo, I'd be happy to do it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along, we're gonna get into articles. I'll just say I'm sorry. Kelly, don't go anywhere. Are there any public comments to Kelly's article? No. All right. Thank you, Kelly. I almost broke my own rule there. All right. So articles 30, 31, 32, 33, back to back to back to back. Mr. Cahill, welcome. Mr. Cahill's the Climate Resiliency and Sustainability Planner. Welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you for having me. I'm just going to load up my slides real quick.
So I'm just, because I do public comment after each article, is this something where you kind of want to present them together as a whole, or do you want to do each one separately?
I'll go as a whole.
Okay.
If it works for you.
Yeah,
can
no,
do-
that's fine. I know
Okay.
they're all similar subjects.
Sure. So 30 through 33 are all the actual PPAs. 34 is a pilot at the end, so we can separate out that way if that makes sense.
That would be great. Thank you.
Perfect. So thank you for having me tonight. My name is Mike Cahill. I'm the Climate Resiliency and Sustainability Planner for the town. Today we're going to talk about our PPA agreements. And to get into it, what that stands for is the Solar Power Purchase Agreement. Structurally, the way that these agreements work is we are working with a developer who will own, maintain, and install solar arrays at 6 facilities across town. There are two types of PPA agreements. There's in front of the meter, behind the meter. These are all behind the meter projects, simply meaning that the electricity generated within these arrays is going to be used directly on site in those facilities. The developer will get energy certificates, which they use to generate revenue. And for us, it gives us essentially a reduced rate for electricity within those buildings. Within our projects that we have 5 PPAs that we're moving forward with at 6 town facilities, including the public library that will be a car-top solar array, DPW headquarters, a car-top solar array, DPW administration building, the 22 Mary B. Way building, that will be a rooftop array, Plymouth South High School, a carport, Plymouth South Middle School, a carport, and Plymouth North High School, a carport. In terms of layout, I can kind of go through these. This is the library. The main entrance to the parking lot is right here. Here are these 2 carport arrays that will tie directly into the building. This is DPW headquarters, so the main building is here. This is a proposed carport that will be along the side here. It's important to note that these carports will all have a 14-foot height minimum, so all DPW vehicles will be able to go underneath them. Additionally, in terms of providing sheltered cover for vehicles and equipment, vehicles will be able to park directly under this, improving the ease of access for staff to vehicles. 22 Mary B. Lane, and give you a sense of direction, this is the building right here. And that is the rooftop array. Plymouth South High School, this is the main high school, main entrance here, behind the back. Plymouth South Middle School, once again, for scope, high school, middle school right here. And just off the screen, we have carport arrays over here, off to the left-hand side of the school. And then finally, Plymouth North High School, main parking lot, football field here in the back, tying directly into this building. So like I said, basically what this gives us is a reduced cost for our electricity bills within each of these facilities. As you can see here, we have the site location. All of these projects moving forward with Green Skies Clean Energy LLC based out of New Haven, Connecticut. They have various public and private projects across the state and across New England and whole. For public projects, they have projects in Eastham, Barnstable, Chatham, West Boylston, Edgartown, and Barnstable. As you can see here, we have the size of the array, the type of the array, we have the annual production estimates. We have our current price for electricity that we're paying within the buildings, and then essentially that new electricity cost that we're going to be paying. And in total, down here, the number that really you should take note of is annually we expect a savings of $246,668 annually for electricity costs and over a 20-year agreement. So these are all 20-year agreements. After that 20-year agreement, we anticipate that that savings to escalate to $4.9 million. So like I said, the first articles here are directly related to the PPA, and these are broken into two pieces, excuse me. Basically, the first piece transfers the use of the property to allow the select board to essentially lease out parts of this parking lot. And the second part gives the select board the ability to execute the PPAs at each of these locations. And I don't know if you want me to stop there, go right into 34?
Sure. Alan, did you have a question or comment? And then Mr. Weber?
Just a couple of quick questions. The firm that you had put this together for you, was there a bidding process? When did that take place?
Yeah, so we went out through the RFP process in July of 2024. We received 3 bids back, evaluated those with our energy manager, who is Adam Teff at Titan Energy. We have currently 5 PPAs in place for the town. They're all at schools. As you can see, there's actually, you can see rooftop arrays here on Plymouth South High School. Those were installed in a PPA. I believe those were 2018 and are owned by Amoresco. So this isn't something that's new to the town. And when we, like I said, we used Titan Energy to help us evaluate those proposals that we received back.
And I appreciate that. And that was my second question. I know the school over the years has 2 or 3 solar arrays, one even out of town. Is there any financial data that's done what they said it was going to do?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Could you provide that to us?
I don't have it with me right now. That's something that I could definitely dig up.
Because the graph looks great, you know, that we're gonna have all the savings, but when push comes to shove, I'd like to see that we've realized it in the past.
Sure.
Before we surrender all these properties to a private entity.
Yeah.
Or parts of the properties.
And these rates that they gave us are locked in. So we know for a fact that we're going to be saving based on the electricity that we're currently paying. So it's not really something that wouldn't be realized, as these numbers over here, the final financials are based on annual production, and we have production thresholds outlined within the PPA agreement the developer needs to hit. So although we don't know exactly how much annual production we're going to get, we're pretty confident these are the numbers that we're going to have at the end of the year.
And are there penalties if those points aren't hit?
There are.
All right. Is there a document with the company available for town meeting members to read?
We haven't made it available yet. It's fairly lengthy. I'm sure that's something that we could do, though.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Weber?
Thank you. Dale Weber, Precinct 3. This is all a great idea. I just have a continuity problem. I did not support at the last town meeting the purchase of 22 Mary B. Lane. So for continuity, I won't be supporting any improvements to that site. I believe we should sell that building. And I believe to keep improving that building that is currently basically still vacant. Like, we do have 2 employees in there now just to get a break on the insurance because it costs so much to insure a vacant building. So with the staff reductions, with the budget discussions that we're looking for money, we're facing shortfalls. I think this is a disservice to continue down this road with this new building added to our inventory of buildings to maintain, especially given the fact where we have frozen craftsman positions that have become vacant. So not only did we never have enough craftsmen to maintain the buildings that the town owns, we now have 50% less than we had 3 months ago. So the DPW has a habit of not being able to address infrastructure needs, and it's even worse now with short staffing, hiring freezes, and I believe any more money that we sink into 22 Mary B. Lane is a disservice to the taxpayers and ratepayers, and I won't support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. I have Pompey, then Chris, then Catherine.
Yeah, I just would like to check how much is the maintenance? Does this have any maintenance implications to the town of Plymouth? I'm looking now at a big snowstorm that we have and the fact that I have solar panels that are doing no good on my roof because of the snow. Who maintains them and at what level? And also secondly, is there any way to get a little bit more of the visual impact of these things? Is there any way to evaluate that?
Yeah, so within the contract PPA, all maintenance is going to be handled by Green Skies. Like I said, they're going to build, own, and maintain. If there's an issue with any of these, they will respond and they will fix remedy the issue. And like I said, there are thresholds that they need to hit in terms of generation, so look at these back up and running as quickly as possible. I should also note too, if I can, to Mr. Weber's point, there is no upfront cost associated with these. The install of these panels. Basically what we're allowing the developer to do is come in, generate revenue from those solar energy credits. So we're not paying any capital upfront to get these projects going. And what was your final question? I'm sorry.
Whether there was any way to get a little more of the visual impact.
Sure. Yeah. So when we were setting these up, we were intentional with the way that we did them. As you can see at the schools, they're all towards the back of the building and off to the side. There's plenty more space that we could have used, but strategically we kind of picked locations that are out of the main view initially. So that's something that we definitely considered within the project.
And the carports, you said are they even at the schools 14 feet?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. All
So
of them are 14 foot high.
Okay. Not just the DPW.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
right. Okay. Great. Yeah, I've got Chris, Catherine, then
Okay,
then
no
you,
problem.
Charlie. So Chris, go ahead.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair. So my two-part question here, in regards to that, has this fire department signed off on this project? And then the other question would be, who's covering the insurance on these if it's on town-owned property?
Yeah. So within the agreement, there are clauses for insurance. So Green Skies, like I said, they're widely known and widely across New England. So they are insured when it comes to these types of projects.
Right, so, but on the liability side though, on the build, if they're on structures on town-owned land, is the town responsible for that insurance?
Ms. Barrett just responded. The Green Skies LLC will provide a certificate of insurance to the town for their equipment on municipal property.
Great, thank you. And in regards to the fire department, have they concurred with this project?
So the fire department has not weighed in on this project yet. At this point where we are is we're coming before town meeting to give the select board authority to authorize and execute these PPAs. There will be a process where we go back before the school committee, the library board, and the select board to get final approval before we move forward. So I anticipate that discussions with the fire department would happen in the near future, should this go through Springtown meeting.
Thank you.
All right, Catherine and then Charlie.
Hi, thank you. Okay, so for Catherine Holmes, Precinct 9, I'm really looking forward to you attending the Precinct 9 caucus so that we can discuss this further. But in the meantime, I just have a couple of comments and questions. I wanted to clarify, Mr. Weber from Precinct 3, did you state that you're not going to support the full article because of the purchase of the Mary B. Lane property, which you didn't support, or are you saying you just don't support that property? If that question can be answered, and then I have another
Yeah,
question.
Through me, Mr. Weber, if you wanted to answer
Yeah,
that.
through you, Mr. Chair, I was speaking specifically for Article 31, the DPW rooftop solar project for 22 Mary B. Lane.
Got it. Okay, great. So the other ones you're open to, but just not that one specifically. Okay, thank you for that. And then the question that I have is, are you able to share any roadmap or of other buildings or properties that have been planned or potentially in scope to move forward with solar in the same direction to provide, this additional cost savings to our taxpayers?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The original proposal that we put in the RFP was a much larger project. We had included the Cedarville landfill, which would have been in front of the meter deal, meaning that electricity would have gone directly into the grid. A project like that requires what Eversource calls an interconnection study, where basically they do a bunch of research, they figure out how much the grid can handle and how that tie-in works. Unfortunately, that's a very lengthy process. When we heard back from Eversource, we were told that it was going to be a 3 to 4 year study. With the lack of support for these types of solar projects by the current federal administration, and incentives going away in July of 2030, no developer that we worked with was comfortable taking on that financial risk. So we would love to expand these to other town facilities and other locations across town. But we kind of selected these smaller, the behind the meter deals, feeding power to some critical infrastructure. Hopefully, in the coming years, we can continue to expand our portfolio, continue to expand these projects across the community. But I think we just need a little bit more certainty on the federal side before investors are ready to make that jump.
Mr. Chair, if I could, just one more question, please.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, then, is it the limitation obviously around the Cedarville landfill? I can understand that it's a longer, lengthier process, but there are other town buildings that could be considered before these subsidies expire. So we have the Springtown meeting. If we can get this approved, is it possible that you'd be able to complete additional activity for the fall town meeting, or is that not enough time for you?
Certainly not enough time. We're going to be getting in just under the wire. So the way that this works to get grandfathered into those federal tax credits for 2026, 10% of the total project cost needs to be expended by July date. So we're going to be, if we get approval at Springtown meeting, like I said, the next step would be go before the select board, school committee, and the library board of trustees. Get approval and then move these projects forward. So we are in the queue right now for those incentives. So yeah, so we have a spot. We just have to make sure that we continue to move this forward. And like I said, we would love to expand to more projects, but we're just focusing on these 6 for this point in time.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I look forward to you coming to the Precinct 9 caucus. I'd really like to be able to give the opportunity to Precinct 9 members to ask further questions. I think this is an incredible opportunity to reduce long-term taxpayer burden. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Catherine.
Yeah.
Charlie?
Well, actually, Catherine asked the question, basically I was going to ask, so I heard the answer, so I'm happy. Okay?
All right, George?
I just wanted to clarify what we're going to be voting on at town meeting. Are we going to be voting on each one of these articles individually so that those of us that agree with Mr. Weber can say no to one of them and yes to the rest?
Yes, they will all be individualized. So I shouldn't say they'll all be individualized. The school ones are bundled together. 22 Mary B. Lane is a separate one. DPW headquarters is separate, and the library is separate.
Any further questions or, I see, Jennifer, I see you got your hand up online. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So just speaking to the library specifically, this was one of my goals before I retired was to get this done, so I'm thrilled to hear it. But part of the concern was the parking lot hadn't been repaved. The building's over 30 years. So I just wanted some assurance that that's part of this major upgrade to the parking lot situation.
Yeah, so like I said, we will be, we've applied for incentives. Once we get word back that we are locked in for those, the developer will then move forward with final design for these. They've completed preliminary design, but through that final design process, they'll figure out any structural issues at any of these sites that might be of concern. They will also prepare the site to be able to install these. So how much repaving they're going to be doing before this goes down, or before this gets installed, we'd kind of have to, like I said, figure out the final design phase, see what the existing site conditions are. So we'll get more information on that as the process gets a little bit farther. I know that some library staff has raised the concern of the smoothness of that parking lot, that there are some dips. I anticipate, if it comes up in design as an issue, that would be something that would be remedied by the developer before the install.
There's more than dips, Mike. I mean, there's years of cracks and cracks and cracks. So
Sure.
thank you.
If I could also just add one piece, one piece that I didn't mention is at the end of this 20-year contract, the developer will have three options, or the town will have three options with the developer. We could either purchase this equipment outright and take on ownership. We could choose to cancel the project, not move forward. They revert it back to the existing conditions, or we could negotiate an extension for this project, and that will occur at the end of the 20-year cycle.
Okay, I'm trying to picture where I am in 20 years. Okay, thank you very much. I know I have Catherine's hand up online and Mr. Costello, so.
I just actually have a quick question. Maybe it's me. When you went through with the laser pointer and pointed out where they're going to be installed, I wasn't able to keep up with it, quite honestly, but just on the library, you don't have to go through them all, but can you physically point out where you're talking about? Is that top of the picture there? Top of the photo?
Lapel mic. There are some grids right up at the top there. You can kind of see some black rectangles.
Okay, so right there, that's existing parking lot, but that'll be taken over and that'll be, and what happens to get the infrastructure to the building, or will you have an independent building that handles all of the transfers of electricity, or how?
It'll be
What
trenched.
happens in that parking lot beyond the carport?
It will be trenched directly into the building, or it'll interconnect to the building. So this won't be going into the grid at all. This goes directly into the building, and all energy generated at these arrays will be used within the building.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Catherine, I see you have your hand up.
Last question. So you mentioned that decommissioning it could be an option if after 20 years we decided that we were not going to be taking this back on. Does the vendor, are they responsible for the decommissioning costs as well as the disposal of whatever equipment or materials that would have to be taken down?
Yes, they are responsible for reverting it to the existing conditions right now.
That's included in our current contract that we'd be signing with them.
Correct.
Thanks.
Everyone, I frequently look back and forth, but I have people before other people, so I appreciate all the help, but a lot of choruses coming at me. Beth, go ahead, please.
Hi, Beth Gregg, Precinct 7. In 20 years, I imagine that the technology involved in solar arrays will be quite different maybe much more advanced, maybe a lot smaller, maybe a lot more efficient. What is there in the contract that says, should there be such technological advances, will the town of Plymouth have the wherewithal to be able to change out the technology? I mean, it's like, what leeway do we have there, or are we locked in for 20 years?
Pretty much locked in for 20 years with the technology that's going to be in place. Now, at that end of that 20-year period, we could always create a new PPA with upgraded technology to kind of stay with the times. But once they install these, unless there's an issue with the array, they wouldn't update the technology within it. I should also note as well, these numbers that we put together, they expect by the end of the 20-year period that these will degrade to about 85% of their initial efficiency in terms of power generation. So that number was already captured within our annual production estimates as well.
Okay. Mr. Freeland, and then I have Mrs. Adelman, and then back to Catherine.
In the unlikely event that the vendor should go out of business, does the town require a bond in that unlikely event? Who would then be responsible for the maintenance or the, taking down of this equipment? Is a bond required for this?
Yeah, so when we were putting this together, we worked with KP Law. They have a specialist that, or they have an attorney that specializes in PPAs, actually. He's created, I think, 2 of the ones that we already have at the schools. So within the language, we have a whole section if Green Skies was go bankrupt, what the next possible situation would be for the town. So I'd be happy to share that with you and take a closer look.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Mrs. Adelman, and then back to Catherine.
Thank you. Is there any noise associated with this, and does it go to a battery storage or it goes directly into the building?
No, there should not be any noise associated with power generation. It will go directly into the building. There's no batteries within this proposal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Catherine.
I thought I was last question. I have another one. So as someone who negotiates contracts quite frequently, is there any possibility that our attorneys can work with this vendor to put in the contract that if for any reason they have new technology that has deemed this technology either less efficient or obsolete or some like known problem that makes new technology better, fill in the blanks, their legal counsel can do that. Could they then offer us, even though it wouldn't obviously be free, could we work into the contract some type of a 20% discount or something like that, that would allow us to stay within that existing vendor and they would provide a discount to us if we stayed with them and we continued to buy into their infrastructure? I think you don't have to answer that because you probably don't know the answer today, but it's something that we should be considering, that we're working in that for a long-term relationship with this vendor.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. Like you said, I'd probably need to sit down with counsel and kind of talk that through to figure out what that would look like. In terms of payback period, I imagine it would have to be relatively substantial for the developer to make that switch. But that's something I can certainly talk to counsel about.
I just think we need to make sure that this contract that we sign has, since we're talking about 20 years with technology, and technology is constantly advancing, especially with AI and other things that are coming into the market, that we need to be able to protect ourselves and our residents, that we are thinking about that. So we have some clauses in there to either advance technology or be able to get out of the contract.
Sure. I'll also say, so like I said, we have 5 PPAs that are currently in place. None of those, to my knowledge, have that contract in place. The oldest one, I believe, dates back, I want to say like 2012 or so. So we are, halfway through that 20-year period. We haven't run into a point with any of those arrays where I think technology has moved so quickly that the current arrays are obsolete at this point in time. But like I said, that's something I can definitely talk to counsel about and seek opinion on that.
Yeah, thank you. It's just protection. It's not necessarily that it would exist, but if it does, we need to be able to make sure we have options.
Sure.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Mr.
I just
Costello?
have one quick housekeeping thing. The three arrays that are taken care of by the school, or school property, is the school department or cutting their own deal, or do they have their own contract, or are all of these arrays under the town umbrella?
They were all set up by the school department throughout the years.
They're all set up by the what?
So the school department set those up a number of years ago.
Right, I'm talking about the three locations that you're talking about in this go-around.
Yep.
Historically, the town and the school department haven't come together on things like this. Does the school department have the ability to have their own independent lease or deal with this company, or is it
No.
everything under the town umbrella?
It's all under the town umbrella. The school department is just a department within the town. So the school ones they've done in the past, they've come to town meeting and they've gotten town meeting approval, because what you're doing in these articles is, when the school came before you before, all you were authorizing was for them to enter a contract that's greater than 10 years. Because right now, the town can enter into contracts for 10 years, no more than 10 years. So part of these articles is for the town to enter, for the select board to authorize the town to enter into a contract that's greater than 10 years. So up to 20 to 30 years for these PPAs. The other part of these articles is to transfer the parcels into, for this use, for this type of use. So that's all what you're voting for. You're not necessarily voting for, you're voting to transfer the use, and you're voting for the years that we can enter into a contract for the PPAs.
All right. I think
And
it's more
and
convoluted.
it's
than
all
that,
under
but-
the town umbrella.
Okay,
We use the same attorney for the prior agreements that we did with the schools. And the school agreements, the town actually participates in. So we all receive the savings of those PPA agreements. So as far as, like, when we enter into a contract with a developer for the PPA, they are guaranteeing those rates for those 20 years. So no matter what the technology is, we are still going to be getting those savings compared to the existing rates that the electric, like what.
I understand. My point is less about the deal with the contract. It's more about the deal historically with the town.
Yep.
Town versus the school, and we've had challenges in the past about acting as one. In this contract, you're acting as one.
I think when it comes down to, day-to-day operations, we work very well with the schools.
Okay? Thank you.
Mr. Weber?
Lynn, before you go away, so is it my understanding that what you're saying is the town of Plymouth pays the electrical bills at the school, which we know they don't?
The school budget pays for their electrical bills.
Right.
The town pays for our electrical bills.
Right, so the
But we
savings,
we share in the same PPA agreement.
I don't think that's what Alan was at. I'm not trying to speak for you, for Alan.
We get separate bills, but it's the
Right.
same, like a same PPA agreement.
But the listing that, Mike had up there on the page shows the savings over 20 years. Those savings will go to the school. They won't go to the town.
So for the school buildings,
Right,
they will go to the school.
Right.
And for the town buildings,
right.
they will go to the town. Because we each pay our own bills.
Right.
In our budgets.
thank you.
Did you have any follow-up, Alan, or are you? Okay. I'm assuming not. Any further questions or comments from the COPC? Yeah, I was stalling. I could see it percolating.
For now, I'm all set. Thank you very much.
I got excited for a second. All right. Any further questions or comments from within the room or online? Not seeing any, I'll open it up to any public comments on 30 through 33 at the moment. Not seeing any there. We'll go on to Article 34, the co-pilot agreement.
Yeah, so 34 should be
Or
per,
excuse me, the pilot agreement, co-pilot, sorry, it's been a long day.
34 should be fairly straightforward. So we already have a pilot agreement in place, payment in lieu of taxes for private solar developers on private parcels. This is a pilot. This allows the select board to authorize a pilot on any renewable energy generation or storage device within town boundaries of up to 30 years. So similar to how 30 through 33 grant the select board the ability to execute these PPAs, this 34 allows the select board to execute a pilot agreement with the developer.
Any questions regarding Article 34? And I'm more than happy, since they all kind of work together, to go back to 30 through 33 if somebody thinks of something, if that's all right with you. Yeah? Yep, go
Yeah,
ahead,
can I
Pompey.
go back to that a little bit, because I'm still interested in the snow issue. So I'm sitting there saying, one of the teachers, one of the kids parks their car and gets out and the snow comes off of that thing and hurts them seriously. Who's responsible?
So like we mentioned earlier, the developer has insurance on, they'll provide a separate of insurance on town buildings or if on with the arrays on the town facilities. If there's an issue like that were to arise, that's probably something that council would deal with, but the developer will be fully insured for any issues that happen because of the array being on site.
I just think that's something that ought to be crystal clear, because we do not want the responsibility of ice or snow coming off and hurting people or anything like that.
Mrs. Adelman?
I have a question going back to the pilot agreement. Currently, are there private solar operations, and are they paying a tax? What is the agreement presently?
So if you recall, every time the town enters if a developer comes to town and puts solar, we have 15 agreements right now, let's put it that way, that we've gone to town meeting with, and we've authorized a pilot agreement. The pilot agreement is for payment of personal property taxes, which is the payment to the town for the taxes for the equipment that is on the property. If they're leasing property from a private person, then they're paying taxes. So either the owner of the property is paying real estate taxes, or the developer who's leasing it is paying the real estate taxes. So there's two taxes. One is real estate, one is PP. So the pilot agreements is for the PP, the personal property. And then if they're leasing from us on top of a building, then because they're leasing to a public entity, then they will be responsible for paying real estate taxes also on that piece. So it'll be like a prorated amount. Okay?
Okay, so the normal citizen gets a personal property tax. But
So that's different. Like if someone has, solar panels on their roof, that's different. That's all part of their real estate taxes. What I'm talking about are the 15 development agreements that the town meeting has authorized in the past. And like the wind turbines down off of Route 25, that was one agreement that came to town meeting. The developer, we negotiated a pilot agreement with that developer to pay for the personal property taxes associated with all of that equipment. So what this article authorizes us to be able to enter into pilot agreements on private land, but also on public land. That's the difference between this article and the ones that we've done previously.
thank you.
Mr. Merrill?
Thank you. So just for clarification, Lynn, on that 30 years, is that negotiable or is that just, is it up to 30 years or can it be coterminous? So for this instance, we have 20-year lease for those articles that we just talked about. Would it make sense just to have those coterminous together instead of just
Yes.
extending another 10 years?
They are
Okay.
definitely coterminous. So what we have,
Okay.
what we have done is we've done 20-year pilots. So 20-year pilot on the taxes, and then the array is going to be there for 20 years, or the turbines or whatever.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Merrill. Mr. Costello?
And just quickly, Lynn, you could probably answer this. This entitles the town to enter into up to 30 years for leases on projects for renewable energy. Does the project still have to go in front of town meeting for approval?
No. The projects go before the planning board, they go before ZBA, they go before, the inspectional services, because they have to pull permits and
School
all of
committee
that.
and
Right,
and
right.
the
But they
library as well.
don't come back to town meeting for approval.
Oh, I apologize. I thought we've approved at least a few over the years. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Thank you.
No.
You have in the past.
Just not on, that's not how these are working.
Well, I
But
guess
yes,
that's my
you're correct
concern.
in-
So if this article passes, that procedure goes away and the selectmen handle it going forward, any
That's
type of
correct.
leases, and the
That's
town meeting is out of it.
That's correct.
All right.
We don't have to go back to town meeting to get each and every individual pilot agreement approved. That's just pilot agreement is an agreement to pay taxes.
I understand.
It's not an agreement to put a solar field there. They have to go through other means to get that.
But there's also a secondary article that we passed 5 or 7, maybe 10 years ago, where the monies get distributed from these half to, or a third to one group and a third to the general fund. Is town meeting still going to have an accounting of these leases as they go forward?
So
Or is it, or not even town meeting? Is the resident taxpayer going to know all these future pilots exist? How will they know?
I'm not really sure. I'm not understanding exactly your question, because you're talking about leases,
Right?
which is different than a pilot agreement. So a lease, what Michael has presented in the other articles is authorizing the select board to lease, to a developer up to, those many years for some type of renewable energy for a power purchase agreement. That's one thing. And then the other article is for the town to negotiate with that developer the taxes that's going to come to the town from that development.
Oh, strictly for this project. It's not going to be a blanket approval that they can enter into 30-year leases across the board for any renewable energy. Only for this particular project.
Those other articles, 30 through 33, are just for those projects and those
34,
buildings.
34 covers that.
Yeah.
Covers those three. All right.
34 covers the taxes associated with those. Yeah.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, and you'll see in the information, it talks about, it's specifically to the power purchase agreement, which is those prior 3 articles. So, that's how that language goes.
Yeah, if I could just,
Sure.
all of the articles have specific parcel-specific information. So if we were going to do this again, we would be through the same process. We would go back before the or go back before town meeting to get approval for the select board.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Merrill, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, just one quick question. In regards to the pilot, is there any clawback provisions that the town can have if they don't meet certain criteria? Because I know with pilot agreements, typically, like, we like job creation, generation, if it is a company moving into Plymouth, but I know this is a lot different. But if someone could speak to that, if there is any kind of clawbacks, if they don't meet certain parameters?
So again, as far as the pilot agreements, it's instead of sending them a tax bill every year based on the value of that development, the town enters into like a 20-year pilot agreement for their tax payment. So that at the beginning of the development, the developer knows exactly what they're going to be paying in taxes over that next 20 years so that they can get their appropriate investors into that project. And then again, the town has a contract with the developer that this is what they're going to pay in taxes over that 20 years. So there aren't any clawback provisions. The only provisions are in those agreements is really just for the taxes.
You good with that? Chris? Okay. All right. Any further questions or comments from the members of the COPC, either in the room or not seeing any? As we do, I'll open it up to public comment. So, Mr. Lynch.
Kevin Lynch, Precinct 5. Actually, going back to 30 to 33, I just thought of something. Green Skies is the vendor. And is there any places that we can go and see examples of what they've done with the 14-foot high carports?
Yeah, so if you go on their website, they have all of the projects that they've done across New England. So there's numerous examples that could easily be looked at. Like I said, they have public properties in Eastham, Chatham, Barnstable, West Boylston, Dennis, Edgartown, Brewster. So there's many locations across Massachusetts.
That was great. Last thing is, I was thinking is that, you've done a great job presenting all the pros of why we should do this. And we're trying to go and figure out the cons, the downside. And I guess that's our responsibility. So I appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
Michael, if I could just add one last comment here, unless there's anyone else. I've heard it come up a couple of times. I don't know if there's some way to get some sort of, we're seeing overheads to get some sort of profile put into the information that gets distributed to town meeting of elevation height.
Like a rendering, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I have no problem with going to the website and all that, but having heard it a couple of times, maybe it's something to think
Sure.
about, possibly.
Yeah, we can definitely
Maybe
do that.
they could supply some pictures that can be distributed of their, as a,
Sure.
Because if
yeah.
you hear it here, I'm sure you'll hear it elsewhere. So, any further questions or comments regarding Article 34? Not seeing any. Thank you, Mr. Cahill. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time this evening.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the CPC articles, Articles 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. And I think we will stop after, well, each one, probably not so much under the reduced borrowing as usual, but I'd like to welcome the CPC Chair, Mr. Bradley. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Ed Bradley, Chairman of the CPC. Our first article is Article 25, which is an historic preservation article. And the Community Preservation Committee recommended this for town meeting for an appropriation of $85,000 and for a historic preservation plan for the entire town. This plan will closely coordinate the current updating of the town's comprehensive master plan, open space and recreation plan, town bylaws and related plans and processes. The plan will recognize the central role of historic character to Plymouth and identify the quality of life, and will address relationships of historic preservation to all aspects of town activities. In essence, this plan will serve as a roadmap for the preservation of Plymouth's historic resources, featuring features for the foreseeable future. Now, the town has reached out and gotten a quote for this work at $75,000, and on a recommendation of that firm, they recommended a $10,000 buffer be added to the account in case prices may change between now and when the process of the work begins. The town will also be applying for a survey and planning grant through the Massachusetts Historical Commission, which would provide 50% funding to match the final cost of the program. And if you remember from last town meeting, we created a town preservation commission. So that's to be a little bit different from the district commission, which is downtown, a small area. This is to look at the entire town. So this would be the seed money and the roadmap for that commission to start their work.
Any questions from members of the COPC, either in the room or online? Yep, Mr. Hutchinson.
Yes, you said that this was like a master plan?
Say it again?
Yeah, did you say that this was, a master plan?
No, it's going to complement the master plan.
It's gonna, I'm sorry, I didn't,
Complement.
complement, okay.
Connor, come on.
Yeah, Connor Anderson, Historic Resources Coordinator for the town. Can you please repeat your question?
I had heard Ed say, I thought I heard him say that it was gonna be a master plan, but, he says no. So
Yeah,
it's
it
gonna
will
be,
complement the master plan, or the comprehensive plan, is it now?
yes, right. That's-
Any further questions or comments?
Just to follow up, does that mean that there'll be a process for contributing to this planning effort? Which is to say, is it going to be open to the public? Is it going to have reviews and those sorts of?
So there's going to be as much public input as the public would like to give. Realistically, it would probably go around to all of the steering committees and, kind of hold a forum. Probably go down to precincts as well, but there will be significant public input.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
This is less a question than it is an observation. It seems a little confusing to me that there are so many historic committees, commissions, districts, plans. And I think that if you do indeed present to caucuses, it might be helpful to have, like, I'm a visual learner, so it might be helpful to have like something visual that says, here's how we relate to all of the other aspects of historic planning, historic districts, et cetera, that are going on in the town, because it might make it easier for you to sell this article.
Yes. I went around last town meeting to establish the historical commission. I fielded a million questions about that exact same thing. So
Yeah.
I plan on going around again. this summer.
Okay.
So.
Thanks.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none, we'll go on to any public comment questions or comments regarding Article 25, Historic Plan. Seeing none, Article 26.
Article 26 is to reduce borrowing for the Plymouth Area Coalition of the Homeless. The Community Preservation Committee recommended this unanimously, that Article 26 be presented at Springtown meeting. This will allow the Finance Department to use $74,008 available CPA affordable housing funds, $415,351 of the FY27 annual revenue reserve for affordable housing obligation, and $2 million of other FY27 available revenues, reducing the amount of the original borrowing, which will also control the cost of interest.
Any questions or comments on Article 26? Hearing and seeing none, any public comment on Article 26? No? Mr. Bradley, Article 27, please.
27 is similar. This article is to reduce the borrowing at Jenny Pond, unanimously recommended by the Community Preservation Committee. This will allow the Finance Department to use the 10% of the annual fiscal 2027 revenues for open space and recreation obligation of $415,351 to reduce the original borrowing, and again, controlling interest cost.
Any questions or comments? Yeah. Mr. Weber.
Thank you. Dale Weber, Precinct 3. A generic question on Article 25, 26, and I think it also might apply to my question under Article 16, which were not there, but since Lynn Barrett's in the room, I wanted to ask this generic question. When we authorize borrowing and the community and the town meeting supported that authorization of borrowing, or even more importantly, when we have an article in front of us to rescind certain borrowing, And again, I'm going into the whole concept of creative thinking here where we're looking to address budgetary shortfalls coming down the road. Since the community has already authorized a certain amount of borrowing, and we're looking to reduce it and/or rescind it at several articles in this town meeting, could we not take that reduction or rescinding amount and transfer it to the excess levy capacity to build that, give that a little bit more of a buffer and a little more comfort level for the process?
Lynn Barrett.
So when town meeting authorizes to borrow, that's basically all they're doing is they're authorizing the town at some point to go out and borrow some money. We don't actually borrow it until we do the project. And this particular, not this article, but the PAC one, the Plymouth Area Coalition for the Homeless, that project started last year. Town meeting authorized to borrow $3 million. Last year, we borrowed $1 million to get started. And now, that was a one-year note. That note comes due in April. We're going to borrow the remaining amount less what we paid off last year. So last year, we paid off about $400,000 at the annual town meeting. So that $400,000 is going to reduce the $3 million. So we're only going to borrow 2.6 into next year. And then the article to pay off PAC, the 2 million plus the 400 plus the 70,000, that's going to reduce it down to like 111,000. So we have spent $3 million and we would have either borrowed or used funding of $3 million. The article that you're referring to, 16, which I think is Bartlett Road Bridge. Okay. So in that particular case, we never borrowed the money because we didn't need it. The cost of the project came in a lot less. We don't borrow money if we don't need it. So you can't transfer nothing into the excess levy capacity. And if there is money left on a borrowed project that we've gone and we've borrowed money for, there's rules from the IRS for arbitrage and what you can use that money for. So if it's less than $50,000 on a project that we've actually spent the money on, that, for example, this building, we had, I think, there was some money left, small amount, that we went to town meeting, because you can use that money on a similar project that you would have had to have borrowed the same amount of years. So if the note on this building was 20 years, then we could use it on a similar project that we were going to borrow for 20 years. So I believe we used some money that was remaining on this building for the maritime facility on the waterfront. So it's a similar type of project, so you can use that money over there. So we would have borrowed less, for that particular project. But you can't use borrowed money to reduce your to reduce your taxes.
Quick follow-up, the language in the articles that we've been accustomed to through the years are to raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer.
Right.
So cannot a motion to transfer money from point A to point B be allowed?
So in presenting a project for town meeting, we always use that language: borrow, raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds, because you want to keep your options wide open and you want to notify the taxpayers and everyone that this is potentially what we're going to do. But when we get to town meeting, we have a recommendation on what we approve is in the motion. So the motion would say we're either going to borrow, the motion would say we're either going to raise and appropriate, or the motion would say we're going to transfer from available funds. Once you borrow for a project, you can never use borrowed money to reduce your taxes. The only thing you can use it for is to pay some of your principal and interest on debt service that you have on there. Does that answer your question? Okay.
All right. Any further questions or comments regarding Article 27? Not any public comment on Article 27. Not seeing or hearing any, we will move on to Article 28, Old Colony Digitization Project.
Community Preservation Committee voted unanimously to recommend this at Springtown meeting. And it's for appropriation of $70,530 to digitize approximately 300 rolls of 35 millimeter microfilm of the Old Colony Memorial newspaper that is in possession of the Plymouth Public Library, and to make them searchable and available online.
Any questions regarding Article 28? Go ahead, Mr. Costello.
Just a quick question. Mr. Bradley, we're in possession of these files at this time?
Yes, the Plymouth Public Library has them, and if you wanted to go look at something, you could. You have to sit in front of a microfiche machine to look at the reels, and they would like to preserve them, and preserve them would be by not using them constantly. So if they were digitized, that would be how you would be able to look up. Also, this would be searchable. So if you wanted to look for some certain instance, right now, you'd have to kind of guess at what year and what edition of the Old Colony Memorial that might have been in, so that you could start your search and go either way. Searchable will help that out.
All right, I see your point there. I just wondered if this was a critical article at this time, $85,000, if they're safe in the library, but you say they are, due to use, they are being deteriorated at this time?
Yes, as a matter of fact, quite often there's a wait for people to be able to use it, because there is only one machine that they can look at them on. And people, they told me a story about someone who was looking for a murder of their grandparents back maybe 100 years ago. And of course, town reports may or may not have any articles in it, but the newspaper probably did. It may have even had pictures. And they had to try to guess at what time period they were looking for in order to look for something like that. But yes, they're being used at a regular basis, and that obviously is degrading their quality.
All right, fair enough. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments, Mr. Hutchinson?
Just a comment on that. It would be useful to be able to search for example, any news articles that might have had to do with town meeting warrants that we voted on for the history that's going to be covered in that microfiche. So just historical trends. I mean, one of the things that maybe we might want to do, a capital committee might want to do, is do a 5-year look back. And you'd be able to go into the, if you didn't have it already, you'd be able to go into that microfiche and search for a given kind of a transfer of funds. So that it's useful, I think, for us for historical purposes.
Yeah, so you'll see within the application that they actually give you the broader scope of this. There's about 300 rolls of film, and it's all going to be digitized and searchable and accessible to the public. Any issues printed in 1929 or prior is going to be online, but otherwise you'll have to go to within the library to search those from 1929 to call it present. Well,
Right.
so whenever Bill Colony went defunct, I can't remember.
In times like these, where we want to look back and be able to figure out, well, what happened? How do we, if, you know, as the town manager has told us, we're at a fiscal cliff. Well, how do we get here? You know, I would love to go back and see news articles and analyses that might help trace that. And, you know, if we want to figure out, well, where are we today and what can we do about it? As well as what we might want to look like 5 years from now. So I think that this kind of information is critical.
And the committee looked at this kind of like a further step from the one we had last year, where we paid to have the old town records digitized, the ones back from 17 and 1800. This we felt falls along that line. You could look at town reports or town records, and it would have some information there, but it wouldn't have the whole backstory like you would get out of a newspaper article. You know, you could go back and look in 1829 to see what the selectman that just got elected that year had to say that he wanted to push as his number one agenda, things like that.
Go ahead, Beth.
Quick question. Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Can you tell us whether or not the Old Colony Memorial would be liable or would be able to pay for any part of this digitization?
They have not. Like I said, the library's in possession of the film. They have, as a matter of fact, tried to talk to Gannett Group and USA Today, which I think is what's taken over that group, to try to get them to release the copyright. As the chairman was saying, from 1930 and forwards, there were copyright laws for newspapers or in the articles. So, but you can have them in the library, so that you can go there and use it at their system. But prior to that, it's public domain. I mean, any records prior to that. So they have tried to get a hold of Gannett Group to get those permissions. They have gotten no answers from any of the offices they've tried. So the library has been looking for some way of funding this for the last, I believe, 7 or 8 years, trying to preserve this microfilm.
Seeing no further questions, any public comment regarding the Article 28? Hearing and seeing none, we'll go on to your last article, Mr. Bradley, Article 29, the account set aside.
Yes, Article 29 is the Springtown meeting CPA fund budget account set aside. The Community Preservation Committee recommends that 10% of the fiscal year 2027 estimated annual Community Preservation Fund revenues be set aside for historic resources, and further, that up to 4% of the annual revenues in the Community Preservation Act be appropriated for the purpose of funding the administrative, operating expensive, and professional services of the Community Preservation Committee in fiscal year 2027. Also, that a sum will be set aside for debt service, and set aside said sum for future appropriations for allowable CPA uses. It should be noted that any unused portion of funds appropriated for administrative purposes of the committee reverts back to CPA unallocated balance at the end of each fiscal year. Now, earlier we saw Article 26, which was a housing article, and that took care of the 10% that we're required to put away for housing. Article 27 that we just talked about, open space recreation, that grabbed the other 10% for open space recreation. So the last bucket of money is this one, which is the historic resources.
Any questions or comments from CPC? Mr. Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bradley, good evening.
Yes.
So I don't see any articles from the CPC to buy open space or buy land and convert it to open space. You've got nothing in the queue for this town meeting.
Correct. We're paying down debt, trying to get that 11.7 million down to, we'll have it over right around, I believe, a little over 8 million.
So,
Yes.
so is it an ideology of your committee at this time to spend the next couple of years paying down debt and not going out on big purchases?
It is, with the caveat that we will look at any presentation that's brought to us in case it's something that is really, really important. We feel that we at least bring it back to a way to look at.
So
We're not going to close for business. We still want them to bring us articles, but we want to pay down that debt that we have.
So here's my question, my final question. Would this not then be a time for someone to make a motion at town meeting to reduce the 1.5% CPA tax down to 0.25% while you go through your exercise at paying down the debt? We can give the taxpayers a break at the amount that's assessed to them annually every year.
I believe that kind of a motion could be made at any time.
It could, but I'm wondering, in conjunction with your ideology of what your committee's working to, maybe this would be prime time for that motion to be made.
I believe that
Not
there
gonna
is a
hold
number
you,
of people.
not gonna hold you to your
As
opinion.
the chairman of the committee, they would probably be looking for my position, but I would think that there's quite a few people who have that same group.
All right, thank you.
Catherine?
Mr. Weber, can you clarify that? Because I think I need some understanding of what you're trying to achieve here. So why would we cut the 1%, 1.5%, when we know we have 11 million in debt? We need to pay off the debt. If we cut that, we're not going to be able to pay off the debt. So I'm not, can you clarify your position on that? Because you and I are typically aligned.
I think my position, I'll just restate what I said. I can't add any clarity to it. Right now, we currently tax the residents 1.5% annually for the CPC to go out into their ideology of open space, recreation, or historical preservation. What I'm saying is, town meeting was the one that established that 1.5% surcharge to taxpayers. Town meeting can also reduce that. And to me, as long as the CPC is not actively looking to purchase 300 or 400 acres to convert to, take it off the tax rolls and do something to make it conservation restriction or open space for passive recreation, why not take a break, give the taxpayers a break, not eliminate the CPC, but just slow down the 1.5% rate to another number? Maybe
Okay.
50%, 25%, 1%, whatever. I'm
Right.
just
So,
coming up with a.
sure, sure. So my thought there is that we're in debt. So in that debt, there's an interest rate that the taxpayers pay on that debt, which is more than 1.5%. So if we slow down the revenue coming in order to pay down that debt, we actually extend the debt and extend the cost of that debt over the long term. So I don't understand that logic. Also, I know that there's a lot of large properties that are coming up that the CPC would want to make sure that they were in position to take on if it was in the best interest of the taxpayer. And I will just say that Atlantic Golf Course was a great example of that. You know, we don't know what's going to happen with that property in South Plymouth and other properties that are as large. And we know that the cost of services far exceeds the cost of, like, say, the 20 million for Atlantic Golf Course, with the requirement of having to build out that infrastructure of roads and schools and police force and fire. It's far more than the 20 million. If we don't have the opportunity with money that we can use, I don't see how that would make financial sense. That's my comment. Thank you.
Any further? Oh,
I was just going to add, so Mass General laws, it won't allow you to eliminate the CPA charge if you have debt. As far as reducing it, I would probably concur with Catherine Holmes that it does make sense to continue to charge it so that we can, pay it down as soon as possible. And that is the goal. And it's always been the goal. I mean, we've never done long-term borrowing for any CPA project. We've always, authorized and then been able to, pay it off over the next few years as the project was being funded.
any further, or Catherine, I see you have your hand up, or is that, I'm not sure if you have further. Nope, never mind. Okay.
No, thank you, Matt. No, thank you.
All right. I'll open it up to public comment, and Mr. Lynch.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bradley, just for my own benefit and perhaps others, the Community Preservation Committee has 4 areas that they address. Could you delineate them so I can write them down? Sure. Slowly, though.
Yep. There are 3 areas.
Oh, 3 areas.
Yep. Historic preservation,
Gotcha.
open space recreation is one,
Oh, that's,
and then affordable housing is the third one. And then we're allowed to use up to 5% by state statute of the yearly intake for administrative purposes. We only use 4%.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Bradley. I appreciate you coming in this evening.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. At this moment, that's what we have on the agenda for our first crack at starting to go through this warrant. As you can see, we're going to move on to any new business. Mr. Costello.
Not seeing anyone else. I was wondering if this committee had, I know in the past, we have a policy for reaching out and recognizing past town meeting members that have passed away. Unfortunately, a week ago today, we lost Richard Caproni, a precinct 15 member, probably for a 3-term member from 14 into the pandemic. And the theme of his services, quite honestly, and I was very proud to be there. His family and relatives and friends didn't know, but community was big for him, both town meeting, the Cal, was at the Center for Active Living. He ran a course there for Medicare, teaching others how to take advantage of the system, and Meals on Wheels. So I was wondering if we could get a letter, or if it's incumbent on one of the members or a
Sure,
committee that put a letter together.
Sure. After this meeting, let's talk about what we could do.
Just something to his
I
family,
have
that'd be
an
great.
idea.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm sorry to hear that. I do remember Mr. Caproni.
Thank you.
All right. Any other new business? Hearing and seeing none. Any old business? Before we get to public comment, just pay attention to the agendas. I think depending on file size, we did have some issues getting some stuff out. So especially with the February 19th meeting, which again is at 6 o'clock, there's going to be a lot of content. So you may get separated emails of all the packet information from Kristen. We're formulating and almost done with the March meetings as well. So we'll move on to that. Is there any public comment this evening? Hearing and seeing none. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you, Mr. Palmer. My apologies. I didn't have my glasses on.
You're muted.
There you go, sir.
Thank you. Good evening again. My name is Stephen Michael Palmer. I live in South Plymouth, Precinct 15. I've lived in Plymouth and paid taxes for 28 years now. I was elected town meeting member for years, currently Plymouth Redevelopment Authority, which I chair. For a number of years, when I was a town meeting member, I was denied the right to speak on behalf of the town because they moved the question on me. I thank you today for being able to speak tonight. My motivation to speak stems from my 2 children, both Plymouth Public School graduates who are doing well. My concern is when real estate taxes go up year after year, after year after year, decade after decade, and hundreds of dollars are added to our tax bill. I, as well as others who speak, question is, who is in charge of the money spent? Who is monitoring the money? We are balancing the town's budget off the backs of the working class of the town of Plymouth, America's hometown. Town officials over the years are taking money out of the wallets of the working class, as well as food off their tables, as people are limited to change what they buy in their stores. There are plans of economic development to save the town's budget, but these plans, going back 15, 20 years ago, have little effect. To balance the town budget on the backs of the majority of the working class taxpayers is wrong. We need to speak about the employment cuts across the board in every department, including salary cuts. When my real estate taxes go up hundreds and hundreds of dollars over years and years, decades after decades, not only must I pay that money, but I have to work harder to pay these taxes. I am concerned about my children now, having to face this tax burden year after year.
Mr. Palmer, do you need another minute or so?
45 seconds.
All right, I'll give you 46. All right.
Okay. The expression of kicking the can down the road is not one that I should apply, whether private or business or government, in our personal lives. What is the answer? Collectively, we need to come together, and you as a committee of the precinct chairs need to get directly involved in addressing Plymouth's issues, which will give the residents of Plymouth just a little hope. Thank you. Thank you for your time and concern.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Any further public comment? Mr. Lynch?
3 minutes? All right. If I can do this. Oh, man, I tell you. Go. Well, I have 4 points, but I don't think I'll get to all of them. Just as a quick reminder is that at some point in the past, I threw out the idea of a traveling town meeting, and I asked you to perhaps consider revisiting that. Big point right here is, of course, with all the talk of the fiscal cliff and the possible Proposition 2.5 override, I was thinking about this a little bit because we as town meeting, we control the purse strings. We decide, how the money is to be allocated for certain articles. But at the same time, it's kind of a double-edged sword because we really are responsible to monitor the money. I know when we go to town meeting, we vote and, okay, selectmen, take it over, and it's almost like we, perhaps have the thought that we don't have to monitor it. I think we really should do that. I think Mr. Palmer said something like that to that degree. So I throw out to you, Mr. Costello took the Legislative Oversight Committee and made it a reality. And I think that's a good start, so at least we're kind of somewhat monitoring it. But I throw out to you perhaps another committee that could be formed, and that would be the Financial Oversight Committee. It doesn't have to be anything ostentatious, whatever, but just kind of like keep an eye on the books and work with, Lynn's not here, but, and just report periodically, 2, 3, maybe at the most 4 times a year. So that would be something that I think we really, I would love to be able to talk with you, anyone, that to actually form this Financial Oversight Committee. Third point, and this is the most controversial. The open meeting law. I have been in contact with the Attorney General 3, if not 4 times, received an email back and forth with some ideas, and one of them I threw out was to do a Facebook page and call it Town Meeting Update, but restrict it to only the 162 town meeting members. And no one else, no public can comment on it. If they want to comment, they contact their town meeting member. And that town meeting member can just weigh in. And for lack of better words, to make it really simple to understand, the citizens can then see, as I say it, the sausage being made. They can see, let's say the pros of the carports and the cons. And I think it would be could be robust discussion. You could have one faction doing the pro, one faction doing the con, and we can go back and forth, and there you go. And so I know I'm-
Do you have
I'm
another
over.
minute or so, or? No, if-
Well,
I know you had a
I
fourth
throw out
point,
to
so-
you, one other thing, and I'm just going to say this, and I'll stop right here. I have a concern in one sense, and it's not what I've written down right here, is that what I would like to perhaps have you folks consider, because you are our leaders, the other 100 and whatever. Public comment from, a citizen wants to do a public comment. Beautiful. I'm wondering if there's any way you could almost think about saying, okay, any town meeting members want to come and actually talk back and forth. You folks talk among yourselves. It would be great to have a town meeting member be able to, ask questions and get answers from the group. And not that I want to distance myself from the citizens, but public comment, that's the public, I don't know, call it town meeting time, I don't know, town meeting, open forum or something. I would like you to consider that, besides some of the things I just said. And that's why I'm saying I could go on and on. I would love to have you, ask me clarifying questions, because I've thought about this a lot. And I have one last thing, and if you want to really go and
I'll give you.
bring a smile
I'll
to
give you
your
2 more
face.
minutes.
Mr. Tavares, I spoke, and you can recall this, is that here we are in the middle of January. No, middle of February, sorry about that. Middle of February. And we may not be thinking of it, but July the 4th is coming up. Wouldn't it be wonderful vision to see our town meeting members walking in the parade, those that can, greeting the public, perhaps having something you could be handing out to the public, and all of a sudden they see government in action, and there could be now a face to the actual government officials. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go, I see, Catherine, you have your hand up. If it's in regards to public comment, we don't respond back to public comment, so.
No, not at all. And I wouldn't even consider responding.
Okay.
But what I was hoping that we might want to do, since the July 4th was brought up, is there a link that we could maybe talk about the public being able to donate or something in order to fund that? Matt, I'm not sure. I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there, since July 4th was brought up, and I know we're in the process of doing our fundraising effort, maybe there's something that could be said, or maybe in our next meeting around the funding for it. Thank you.
Yes, you did put me on the spot. But I'm also, as most know, taking a large step backwards there, but I'm pretty sure that you can donate on July for Plymouth.com. So I'm sure the link is active.
Yes, so for all those residents that really appreciate and value the July 4th parade, that is the place where residents can be making donations, and we need all the donations we can get to ensure that we have a wonderful July 4th celebration.
Okay, thank you. It's nice to think about summertime when there's more snow on the way tomorrow. So at this point, I take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Seconded and approved. All right, thank you so much. Have a great evening.
I would like to